Okay, in this demonstration, I'm going to do a number of things. I'm going to make a continuous line drawing with this water-soluble art graph stick. I think this is kind of a sepia color. And so I'm going to start with this random single line. And then I'm going to fold this piece of paper and I'm going to get multiple random compositions out of it that then I'm going to do some spontaneous mini paintings with. Okay, so here I go. I usually start at the edge and it can be any kind of line. Again, not really thinking about it at all, just letting it meander. And you can do this with Sharpie, pencil, India ink, whatever. As they say, whatever shoots your horn. Okay, about like that. And what I'm hoping is as I start applying wet paint, that some of these lines are going to blend a little bit. Actually, I'll do that intentionally. Okay, so first thing I want to do is fold and crease. Fold again. Unfold and then fold horizontally. Okay. Now, there's so many things you can do with this. Before I rip it, I'm going to show you one I did with Sharpie. And so I can rip all these apart, or I could have fun just kind of accordion folding the paper and seeing if any other interesting random compositions come up. If I like them, I could rip the pieces apart and glue them on another piece of paper or take a photo with my phone and increase the scale on it. So I'm calling this it's my low-tech composition generator, okay? So this is what I started with on Monday, and I ripped one in half, and then I glued. What I was looking for was lining up, connecting lines and forming new shapes to create a new composition. As soon as I glued it on the piece of paper, I went, that's looking a little complicated and overwhelming. So then I shifted gears to what I'm going to show you right now. So I'm going to rip these apart and see if some smaller mini compositions come up that are interesting. Now, if you wet the back of the paper, either with a little bit of spit or a brush, the paper will tear. Not correct language, but more easier. Okay, so here we go. And so I'm going to get things like that. Random shapes. Some will be interesting on their own. There's so much you can do with this. I can recombine and form new connections. I'm just going to stick with just one page today. Okay, I'm keep going and see what I got. And everybody's lines they're going to be unique to you. Like as I've been doing this all week, there's certain shapes that just keep coming up. This thing, I'm seeing it all in my work. The X thing. So we each have our own, I'll say creative signature, just like your handwriting. So some are immediately more appealing to me than others. Those are the ones I'm going to see like this is funny to me. I got those. They look like, see, here I go again with the association, their noses. Okay. Okay, those are not so interesting to me anyway. Okay, I can already tell it's going to be probably these four right here. Those are the ones that are grabbing my eye. Now, this part's important. Somebody's unmuted. Could they please remute?
I just wanted to ask you a quick question.
Oh,
What kind
sure.
of paper, what kind of paper are you using?
Thank you. I'm just using a drawing paper.
Okay,
So I can't tell you what weight.
that's
And
all
then,
right.
okay, so a drawing paper was about, I think it was about 9 by 12. And then what you can do, this part's important. I just happen to have, it's this thicker brown cardstock. Doesn't have to be brown, but you need something of a heavier weight like Bristol paper or mixed media, or you could use, people have been using cardboard this week or file folders. Construction paper, not so great. Too flimsy, it's not going to take paint well. So then I'm going to glue these with my glue stick. And it doesn't have to be perfectly straight. I can put it on there any way I want. Skip that one. I'm running out of these cardboard pieces. Okay. Okay, so I've got these three, and then I'm also going to work with some of the other ones I did just for comparison. So here's my Sharpie one, some Sharpie ones I did. Here's pencil. Okay, now I'm not going to pick, I did a lot this week. I think I'm going to level it down. I'm going to simplify. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to start doing some painting on here. So those of you that have me before know that I like to start with limitations. And my magic number is usually 3. So I just kind of I didn't give it too much thought. I just thought, these are kind of odd colors. I think I want to explore this combination today, which is a warm gray. What is this? A light vermilion. These are new paints. It's this brand, it's a French brand called Charvin, which is on par with golden. As a matter of fact, maybe I like it even better. And then here's a golden light phthalo blue. Okay, so I'm going to use those, and then I'm going to use some fluid sepia paint. I'm going to do some splattering on here with a toothbrush. If you don't have any of this high flow, you can just liquefy some acrylic paint by adding water. Okay, so the first thing, I've got all these lines and I've got all these choices. So, like, the question is, do I stay within this frame? Do I break out of the frame? If I break out from the white into the brown, how much? Okay, where do I put the color? So I'm doing many studies like this to get, I'm going to work in the round. Okay, I'm not putting, as I've been saying all week, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. I'm going to do these quick exploration studies. I probably won't like all of them, but pretty sure I'm going to get 1 or 2 that I like. And it should be non-threatening because they're just these doodles, right? And I want to get into the flow. So I'm going to do some splatter to kind of get things going. I don't have any particular outcome in mind. Just want to see what I get. And as I'm doing this, one thing to pay attention to is if you get that little voice in your head that says, oh, put it there, don't resist, go with it. Okay, so that's good for starters. And I'm going to try and use palette knife. What else? Different brush sizes, some things transparent. Try to incorporate all these techniques. I think I want to get a little bit of water going on this water-soluble graphite to activate it. Going to use this angled brush. That's lighter than I thought it was going to be. Thought it was going to be darker. Now I can draw back into it. It's wet. That's really satisfying. Taking a dry brush, and I want to see if I can feather this out. Okay, now I'm going to start with my neutral over here, and I'm going to paint with the palette knife. So if I hold my palette knife at a 45-degree angle, and I scrape pretty firmly, the paint will go on there, but it's going to have a transparent application. If I do the opposite, if I do a 45-degree angle, but I use a lighter touch, the paint is going to slide off, and it will be more impasto, crossing that line. I'm losing the line. Okay, so let's say I do that and I want the line to come back, then I can carve into it. And I call it excavation. I just excavated and revealed some of that line work. If it's really thick impasto, I can use the tip of my angle palette knife. I've been doing X's all week. I don't know why. And it becomes like a low level sort of sculptural. So I got a little bit of a pattern going in there. So once I pick a color in this process, I try and apply that color to each piece, working in the round. I've got a bit of a series going on. Okay, so if I overlap on this white paper, then the paper begins to feel more embedded into the surface of the painting. And notice I keep rotating my pieces around to get a better angle on things. I'm going to continue with that little X thing I've got going on in each piece. So scraping it firmly, then I can see these little splatters through there, which I want to maintain. Okay, now on to my next color. I'm going to go to this light phthalo blue. Right there, that one. And I'm going to do, I think I'm going to try dry brush. So dry brush means I dip in the end of my brush, no water, and then when I'm dragging it across the surface, I'm still going to see the texture below. Okay, if I want to have thicker paint, which is impasto, again, I get a glob on my brush, and again, 45-degree angle, low, and I just drag, and that paint is going to pull off, slide off the brush. Like butter. And then if I want to do some sgraffito, which means scratching in, I can use the end of my paintbrush. I could use a toothpick, and I can scratch in. And what's lovely is hopefully this will dry in time. Once this dries, I can drag more paint across the top, and the paint will embed in those scratched areas, and I'll get 2 layers of paint interaction. I can put thick paint on and excavate in the middle. I've got a little window going there. If I don't like it, I can paint it back. If I put thick paint over, like this paint is thin enough, the gray, that it's already dried, if I paint over it and then I scratch through, that gray is going to reveal itself. Okay, now I'm going to go to my red. And I think I'll add, I haven't added any water to my paint, so I'm going to add some water and try and play with transparency here. And I actually think I'm going to use this, what is this, China marker, which is basically a crayon. Do a little scribbling and see if that gets revealed through the transparency. So working quickly from one to the next, making quick, intuitive decisions, not overthinking it would be the goal. Like, I'll try this, I'll try that. What's the worst that can happen? If I don't like it, who cares? It's just a funny little line drawing. So now I'm doing a transparency over blue, which pushes it back. It's still there, but it pushes it back. Okay, so this is round one, and there's still so much more that I can add, but I've got good structures going. I want to try and drag some paint over one of these so you can see the embedding, but I don't know if it's dry enough, but I'm just going to do it. Another option, you know, as you're doing this, you could get your blow dryer out and to speed the drawing process up. I'm going to try and do red over that and see what happens. So again, 45-degree angle. Okay, it's working. Would probably work better if it was completely dry. But so now the red is getting embedded in that Sgrafitto. Still a little wet, but I think you get the idea. I like this because it feels very sculptural. Okay, and then oftentimes, so this is the point where I'd say, you know, I feel like there needs to be another color. And I don't know why I'm thinking like some white or maybe scribbling with some charcoal pencil. I could bring that into play. Oftentimes at the end, I like to come back where I began, which would be the splattering. And I like to add a little bit more to bring some of what's on the bottom to the top. Gives it a little bit more emphasis. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to end. Often put my fingerprint in there like it's my little Chinese chop signature.